Hi, I'm Marie Hopkinson, practitioner of Chinese medicine, and I've been running this channel for a few years now, and just been experimenting with different kinds of videos and things like that. So I thought I'd just give you a little channel update about what's on the channel and what you can expect, and I'd love you to subscribe. Obviously there's a few people subscribing, which is great. So really my passion is to help people understand about Chinese medicine and about what they can do for themselves. And that's what I've hoped to do with these videos. A lot of the videos I make just for my patients, and then I just put them on YouTube so other people can benefit from them as well. Obviously, you're not my patient if you're in another country or something like that, but I appreciate that it's informative and it's useful for people. So I'm happy to help contribute to people's well-being through these videos like that. And look, there's just so much that Chinese medicine can offer people that it's kind of like, I guess, hard to access because it might be locked up in some kind of mystical language that people don't understand, or it's hard to understand from a practitioner if they maybe don't have the time. Even they might be good at explaining it, but they just don't have the time in the consult to explain it to them. And I found that over the years as I get busier, like that happens to me. These videos that I make are really meant to help you. If you've got a suggestion for a video, I'd love you to put it in the comments below, because I want to know what people want to know about, and just to keep the channel fresh and updated with what people are interested in hearing about. Just give you a little bit of an update about me and my journey in myself, because a lot of people want to know that, I guess, as well. And really I haven't done any of these. I haven't done any channel updates since I've made this channel. I've just banged a whole bunch of videos out there. And so I started off doing the Chinese medicine podcast, and that was just going to be a podcasty sort of thing. I did 3 or 4 of those videos talking about different aspects of Chinese medicine. I put up a few videos about one of my wholesale businesses. I run a herbal tea company and products that I make. So I'm really interested in that kind of side of things. And then there's a few videos you'll find about retail and running a practice, because I've had experience in doing all those different things. So I'm a bit of a do a lot of things kind of person, and in the last couple of years I've kind of really cut that back and stopped limited the amount of doing different things that I do, so that I can really hone in on the things that are working well and the things that I'm maybe hopefully the best at doing. But also I like a lot of variety, and stops me from getting bored. So I hope that this channel is useful for you, but you may find that there is a little bit more variety on this channel than there are in other YouTube channels, I guess. So the self-help thing is something I really want to go into a bit more, and you'll probably see more videos about that, short videos, long videos. As a lecturer in Chinese medicine, I find that like it's not a problem for me to talk, but I can sometimes talk too long, to talk on and on. And so I'm trying to make some videos that are a bit shorter and a bit more punchier, sort of getting to the point. And then there's videos where people just really, they want to learn, and they want to hear that long story. So I'm happy to share some more stories and things like that in those videos. So my journey in Chinese medicine, I kind of started studying, I really didn't know how I wanted to I actually don't know how I started Chinese medicine. It's kind of one of those things where providence, or I don't know, just a whimsical thing, and a lucky whimsical thing. So I was in high school. I was a little bit of a weird person. That hasn't changed. And I just kind of wanted to do something different. And I really wanted to do medicine, but I was very, very bad at maths, like terrible at maths, and science, as in like chemistry and physics. And I think I might have done physics like 3 times, the same unit in high school, trying to pass it, and I just couldn't get my head around some of the concepts. Looking back now, I mean, if I'd have tried harder, I probably could have gotten through it, I guess. I don't know. But it's probably good that I didn't, because I never would have found Chinese medicine. I would have gone down the Western medicine route, I think, if I was that academically inclined. I put that idea out of my head, and then, sort of deciding what are you going to do at high school, and like being 17 and, I don't know, just not knowing what you want to do. I was really big into music when I was younger. But by that point, by 17, I really didn't want to do any music. I'd kind of lost my passion for music, because I was at a music school, and the stress of doing exams and doing that, I never did music for my TE. I just kind of didn't want to do music, and I certainly didn't think I could do music as a career or anything like that. So I just didn't go down that path. And so I went to my careers advisor and I said, oh, look, well, I want to do some kind of medicine or something, health kind of things. What is there? She gave me these books for universities, and I went through the books for Sydney and Melbourne University. And at that point I was thinking, yeah, going to Melbourne or Sydney, living there would be pretty cool. My mum and dad weren't very happy about that. But what I did is I enrolled in those courses, and I just thought, well, let's see what happens. So I'll enroll in them and see what happens. And so I did, and I got into a course in Melbourne. And I was like, okay, shit, I better find out what Chinese medicine is, because I don't really know anything about it. So in the course of between finishing high school, getting your TE results, and the next couple of weeks where you're thinking, okay, I got this offer for Chinese medicine, and what do I do now? What the hell is Chinese medicine? I'd never had acupuncture. I'd never had any natural medicines on me. I guess I wasn't really a very sick person as a kid, but my sister had been very sick with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I guess I'd seen probably Western medicine fail her in that aspect, and for her to just be in this state of constantly needing to get better. And she never went to Chinese medicine because we didn't know. My mum just didn't know anything about that. We're pretty stock standard, if you want to say, white family. We just didn't know about those things. How would you? I don't know. Living in a suburb in Australia, we wouldn't have used that stuff. We wouldn't have known about it. And so yeah, I'm there with this letter, and I'm thinking, what do I do? I kind of thought, well, I could just defer this, and I got into psychology, I think in a WA uni in Murdoch or something. And I was like, okay, I've got these two offers. What do I do? I mean, at that point, there wasn't even a chiropractic course in WA. It was just you could do pretty much Western medicine or psychology was the options, in that general health sense, or allied health kind of sense, I guess. And so, yeah, I found we had some close friends who were naturopaths, and they had studied at a local college in Perth, and Mum took me over to their house, and we sat down, and they kind of explained, so I kind of understood what Chinese medicine did from two naturopaths. And their conversation with me explaining what naturopathy was and what Chinese medicine was enough for me to realise, I don't think I want to be a naturopath, I think I want to do Chinese medicine, and that sounds really cool. The idea of something different and something unusual was kind of, inspiring to me. And at the same time, they said, look, the college we study at is opening up a Chinese medicine course starting this year. So if you do that course, you won't have to go to Melbourne. My mum was saying, well, what if you go to Melbourne and how you're gonna live by yourself and all this sort of stuff. And I was extremely gung ho at that point, and I've probably never stopped being gung ho, but I just was like, well, if you dream it, you can do it. And that's pretty much how I've lived my whole life. Well, you have the idea, you make a plan, and then you figure the rest out as you go along. So I was quite prepared to pack up everything and go there, but so I deferred the course for a year, and I thought, well, I can put that on hold and I can come back and do it next year if this doesn't work out. And so I enrolled in this course in my local college in Perth, and it just seemed like a really interesting thing, and I didn't know what to expect. It was just very, it was. And I remember sitting in the class the first day and listening to my teacher, who I still know very well now, and just thinking something like, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. That moment had just sold it for me, something, about it. It's been I think that he was talking about his stories about treating people in China, or, with his study in China, and what Chinese medicine can do. And, it just sounded really cool and interesting. And I thought, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. And it was a little bit daunting, actually, because there was no one else that was a school leaver in the college. It wasn't like a university. So I was kind of felt a bit like, I don't know, it was a very different university experience, I guess, because it was a small college, but it was very friendly, and I made a lot of friends through doing that. And there was a lot of weird little parties that they had, and it was just a fun environment and a fun time. But it was a very intimate way of learning Chinese medicine, so it was small groups of people. And when I graduated, I just I was so young, and I didn't think of myself as someone so young, because I'd done all the study, and I was like, yep, I'm ready to go. And people used to come in my office and think, are you the receptionist? Expecting, because I made this business name that I've later picked up now as my product name, but I called my business Tong Kwai, because I got that name from China through studying there, and there's another whole story to Tong Kwai, but people used to think, oh, is Mr. Tong coming out? Like, where who are you? You little pipsqueak. And it was a very interesting time because there was no jobs in Chinese medicine. I just had to start my own job, start my own business to get a job, basically. And so I had my kind of, baptism by fire, basically running a business, being a very young practitioner, getting started, not having, I had a really great mentor and I had access to that, and that was like fantastic. And I think if I didn't have that, maybe I might have drifted away. I can see a lot of practitioners that sort of start, and now as a teacher I see that a lot, where there's some people that they're very good academically and then they just drift away from the profession, and it's actually really sad to see that happen. But anyway, this is becoming a little bit of a rant, so I don't want to make this channel update too crazy long. But yeah, I'll put some timestamps in the bottom, and you can skip forward to the bits you want to listen to. So maybe just some people want to know a little bit about me, and there's not much time for me to tell my patients everything that, and that's how I got started in Chinese medicine. It was just like that, and and then I went to China for 3 months. And again, that was another baptism by fire. I didn't know what to expect about China. I literally thought it was going to be like, ding, 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 ding. I don't know, like I expected that music to be playing when I got off the plane or something like that. I'd never been, well, I had been to a foreign countries before. I'd been to an Asian country when I was 13. So it wasn't so bad, I think, because I had a bit of experience in a really poverty-dense country when I was younger. But I mean, China's not a poverty-dense country, but it was just like, it was a culture shock. And back in 2001, which is when I went there the first time, no one spoke any English. I didn't know much Chinese. I'd done Chinese in my first year of uni, and like Ni Hao Ma was all I could remember, and that didn't get me very far. And it was a very isolating experience. Like, it was an interesting experience. I was there for 3 months. And usually what happens is you go with a group of people that you study with, because everyone wants to do that. Now what happened is my group of people started out as 12 students, and only 2 of us ended up graduating. And my colleague who graduated with me, he wasn't ready to go to China like straight away, and I honestly don't even know how I got the money to go. I just kind of saved up all my money. I think I'd started doing music teaching, and I rounded up like 30 students. I was teaching 30 students a week by the end of by the last year of college. So I was teaching at a music school in Joondalup, and I was teaching students from home. And I'm just a natural entrepreneur, I guess, in a way, and that was before that word was even cool. I just hustle the business, get the money. And so I was teaching violin and cello to all these students, and I was actually almost at that point, before I graduated Chinese medicine, something had happened with the college I was at, and they had to sort of push us all into, like, basically tell us to take almost a semester off, where I could only do 1 unit. And then so I sort of had to wait 6 months around, before I could get into the next units to finish. And so it was like having this massive gap of time off. And in that time, I had earned all this money, and I'd started building my teaching violin teaching business. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll quit Chinese medicine. This is great. I'm making so much money doing this. And I actually had that thought of, like, I was nearly just going to quit it, because I don't know, it's the same with anything. I think you get to a certain point where, you just feel like you've had enough of it and you need to finish. And it was kind of a bit like that. And so I can understand, I see students like that all the time. They get to the point where they feel like, I don't know if I can keep going. You just need that little bit of extra to push you through. So if that's you, maybe you need to hear this video and don't quit, because it's, especially if you put 3/4 of the work into something, just get the degree and get it over and done with, because you don't know, you may use it again later another time. So anyway, going back to that, so I was teaching, and that's how I must have gotten the money to go to China. And I think I'd sold my car or something like that, because I was constantly selling a car, buying a bomb car, selling another car, all that. Anyway, so I got this money. It cost me like 10 grand to go to China back then for 3 months. So I had the money, and I'd gone there, and I was there all by myself. And I'd gone from a really busy time. Like, I used to volunteer with I do youth volunteering, running a youth group with a group of people, and I was out almost every night of the week doing my teaching, doing this and that. And so I'd gone to China, and it was just like nothing. There was just a void. I couldn't talk to anyone. I didn't know any people. There was 2 other American students there, and one of the guys, American student's wife. And that was great because at least I had some company, and we used to go out for dinner and, you know, hang out and stuff. And I met them, you know, met them on my first day in the hospital, which was great. So we became friends and hung out for 6 weeks. But then there was a period of time after when they left, and then there was no one else. And, you know, I could hardly even talk to my boyfriend on the phone because it was expensive. And, you know, you were sort of like, it was back in the day where you get the phone, like, beep, 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 you know, long distance call coming through, like, and you talk really quickly to get all your, you know, it was really expensive. With no mobile phones, I used to cycle on my bike down to the internet cafe and like write these long elongated emails to different people. I mean, even my nana, who was probably, I think 85 at the time, used to get my emails and loved getting my emails. And so, you know, that, you know, it was just, there was no mobile phones back then. There was no mobile phone cameras or for social media, anything like that. It was very isolating. And so you're having all these weird experiences and no one to share them with. And that's how I started learning Chinese, because I was just like lonely and I had no way of communicating with people. So I was hanging out with these Chinese people, and a lot of, like, you know, you're doing your internship in the hospital, and it would be a very small desk, sort of similar to the one I'm sitting at now. And there'll be like 2 or 3 other students there that were Chinese students, and the doctor, and then the patient and the family, and it was like a chaosy kind of thing every day like that. And so you get, because you're in such a close quarters with people, you get to know these other people, and you kind of just, I guess I learned a lot about body language back then because I didn't have anything else to kind of judge on, whether people were liking you or disliking you, whether they're telling a joke, it's funny, just laugh along, that kind of thing. And eventually I just learned Chinese. I mean, I'm not very good at Chinese, but I can get myself by. And yeah, just learned it because I was desperate. I was also like desperate for food. Like how do you, I used to have to go around a restaurant and look at what other people were eating and point to that and hope that I could see something other people were eating that looked all right for me to eat. I mean, back then I was also vegetarian, and that just pretty much doesn't exist in China, being vegetarian. So I was pretty much just eating like egg and tomato fried every day, or bok choys or kailan or something like that. And it was like, yeah, it was, you know, ching sai. There was not much to eat. And I remember a few times when I found something that I could eat, I learned how to say, can you please write this down? Like, what is this? Just those simple phrases, like, you know, it feels like a life-saving phrase, like, what is this? It's not what the fuck is this, it's just what is this? And so you'd be like, what is this? And then you'd have them write it down, and you'd hold that piece of paper so tightly, like there was no phone. I couldn't take a photo of it because there's no phone to do that sort of stuff. So you just have I had this little book of papers with recipes or foods written down on it so that I could get food, because I'd just get so hungry and I'd be like, I cannot eat just plain rice. Being vegetarian, was just so super hard to find foods that you could eat. And so I knew where there was certain foods. And so what happened is, because I could only eat at certain places, this is in Hangzhou, I used to go to those places all the time. So the same people would see me there every couple of days. And there was a place that I used to eat up at the I think it was like the 4th or the 8th floor of this massive supermarket place, like and I would go like a food hall kind of thing. And so I would go there, and the food hall was great because they'd have all the food out displayed, so you could easily see what was in something. And, you know, it took me a while just to learn how to say, you know, I don't want this. Can you take this out of it? So I could just like have, I don't know, like the food without the meat in it or something like that. They could make it fresh for you like that. But yeah, that was a really amazing experience. And I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about Chinese medicine, and just China itself is such an amazing place, and it kind of became addictive. Like, I just wanted to go back there after I'd left. You know, I was there for 3 months, got to see a lot of different things, and especially when you don't have anything else in your life, it's very concentrated learning because that's all you're doing. And so you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over, seeing lots of patients and doing different things like that. And I made some really great friends. I mean, I'm still friends with some of those people that I met in Hangzhou that first time. And, you know, I mean, one day, out of loneliness, I met this lady, not this lady, but this girl that was the same age as me. So, you know, I was 21 when I was there. I wasn't very old. And, yeah, I don't know. I just used to cycle around by myself. I'm lucky nothing happened to me, I guess. And sometimes I'd come back in the hospital and the doctors would say, oh, what did you do yesterday or last night or something? And I'd be like, oh, just cycle around the lake. And, you know, oh, what time did you go home? Oh, about 10 o'clock. Or so. He's like, oh, don't cycle around so late. And I'm like, why? He's like, oh, it's dangerous. I'm like, I never felt dangerous in China. I never felt any danger. I mean, I got lost a few times, like where I was crying on the side of the road because I just literally couldn't get home and I didn't know how to get back home, because I just cycled to God knows where. There was no map or GPS to find your way back home, and my legs were so tight I couldn't cycle anymore. And that did happen like 1 or 2 times. And you can't really have a panic attack in China because no one gives a shit. They don't really care. That doesn't help you. And so, yeah, you just learn about yourself and you just learn things. And China was a really great experience. So, I don't know why this channel update has turned into like a rant about that stuff, but hopefully that will help you get to know a little bit about me and what I do. And maybe I'll give you some more updates about myself as we go on. I really want to. I'd love to get to know you a little bit through your comments. So, what would help you to know about Chinese medicine, or how can I help you? Is what I would like to know. So thanks for watching and have a great day.